Hey people, welcome back. So let's continue using the input payload from our previous session. So let's clear this and try something new. Create an object with a key employee details. The value of this key is again an object with a key name and a value payload.name. So the input name got mapped to this output. Now let's add a key value selector before the name. This will not only extract the value of the name key, but it also takes the key as well, where the whole thing forms an object. As you can see in the line number 3 of the output, there is no need to explicitly tag payload.name to the name key. Instead, you can tag it directly to the employee details. So let's see the output of the payload.name separately. So basically, the key present selector creates an object of the matching key and its values. Now let's see how string concatenation works in Dataweave. Similar to most programming languages, to concatenate one string value with another, use the plus plus operation expression. So adding a plus plus payload.age concatenates the string value mark of the name key and the number value 26 of the age key. Now let's do this for all the other types as well. The concatenation of string, number, boolean worked, but not the value of the previous employer, which is of a type array. So let's select the first object of the array with square 0. Square 0 is also called as an index selector extracting the elements at position 0. Not only arrays but also objects cannot be concatenated with strings. If you want to do this on objects, then all the concatenatable elements must be of the same type, especially for arrays and objects. So array plus plus arrays or object plus plus object works, but not the other combinations. Now let's add dot name. As you can see, the string value CTS is concatenated to the other string output. Now let's see if we can concatenate null with a string. As expected, that won't work. What about an empty array? This too won't work. What about using empty quotes? This works, cause empty quotes is still considered as a string. Even the number value 0 works, as it is not a null value. So be careful while using inputs with values as null. You need to use if-else conditional statements to filter the null values. Since the input payload as a whole is of the type object, you can only append an empty object to it like this, and the output which we obtain has no difference. See? Now let's add a key 6 and a value mailed to this empty object. If you scroll the output, you will find the key 6 in the bottom appended to the original object. Time to learn about subtraction operations. The minus symbol not only finds the difference of one integer with another integer, but it also acts as a means to get rid of any keys and its respective values. So adding minus name to the right of the payload will remove the key name from the output. Now let's add age and cost. The age key value is gone, but what about cost? It is still there in line number 8 of the output. Reason being, cost is not on the same root hierarchy as age is. So saying payload minus cost does nothing. Now I'm bored using minus symbol like this every single time. So there is an alternative to this usage. Remove this and try minus minus. Now declare the key names you want to get rid of in one shot. Isn't this better? We can refine it much more by moving this array to a global variable. So in the headers, add var arr is equals to the array. In line 5, replace this with arr. Good job. Time to add an if condition. Inside the condition, add payload.name. Now what? The if condition always expects a boolean, remember? So let's use the key value selector. This notation returns a boolean, letting you know if a name key is present or not in the root level of the payload. Since name key is already present, this condition satisfies and the result will be this. Now this is how payload.question mark looks separately. Here is a task for you. Do you still remember that dot is a single value selector, right? What would be the output of this code if the input payload is an array of such objects and the name key is only present in few of the objects? Think of it. I will leave that for you. Now let's move on. To test this else condition, just rename the key name to something else. Now observe the output. Note, the code which must work after satisfying the if condition can be anything. Look at this variation. Moreover, the if condition can accept n number of conditional statements. So adding an end payload dot age question mark would completely bring a different meaning to this transformation. To verify this AND condition, just change one of the key of the input payload, name to names. Now let's try an OR condition and observe the output. The only match age key is now removed. Moving on to the else part variations, the code you can name after the else could be anything. So replace payload with an empty array. The if condition did not satisfy, so this array came to effect. Now let's try a null. Next, try an empty object. Hope you're getting a hang of it. Now add an array message like this. The output is an array JSON object. The else could also be a simple string like this. Now here are some extras. You do not always need a payload to play with Dataweave. I told you in our previous parts, remember? Now let's try something new. Let's create simple arrays. In this example, I'm creating an array of numbers 1 to 4. Observe the order of the array to this output. If you call a square -1, -1 picks the last element of the array. It picks up in the reverse order. -2 picks up the last but one element. To pick up the second element in the left to the right direction, use square 2. If you want to pick up the element from a certain starting index to an ending index, use the keyword 2. This is also called as a range selector. So, the usage 2 to 3 fetches the elements in the bound of those respective positions from the input, and the end result will form an array. To reverse the entire order of this array, use -1 to 0. It simply flips. This reversal also works on array of JSON objects too. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share. Meet you in the next video. Bye.